Welcome to Kumbasoft DPAA tutorials. This tutorial is about migrating SSL and TLS proxy profiles to client and or server profiles, depending upon the kind of proxy profile you have. Now, the SSL proxy profiles are deprecated objects, and IBM in a later firmware is beginning to remove some of those old deprecated objects. For example, they've removed the ability for you to edit a password directly in the UI of the appliance. You have to use a password alias. Now, we at Kumbasoft have, and DPAA has the ability to help you migrate those passwords as well. That's a topic of a different tutorial. You may want to go to our website and look for it. At the end of the day, this is about migrating your SSL TLS proxy profiles, which is an incredibly complicated scenario and a migration refactoring ability. Not available in any other tool on the planet, just like so many other things in DPAA. So it will help you productively. It's not an exact science, and we'll explain that. So be sure to set your video playback to high definition, and though some visual details of DPAA may have changed since this video was created, the functionality you will be witnessing will be the same. So what I've done is I've pulled up DPAA. I've got a couple of appliances selected. I've got a domain selected. Under the Find Objects tab, I have the SSL proxy profile type selected, and I've listed all the SSL proxy profiles within the domain of the appliances. Now, the proxy profile we're going to be focusing on, I could do any one of them, but this is the one I'm going to be focusing on here. And the first thing I want to be able to show you is what is referencing this proxy profile. So I'm going to right mouse click, or I can use the hamburger menu, and I can select Show Referenced By. So what this is going to do is this is going to pull up a window for me to show what is referencing that proxy profile within the one appliance I selected. So in this case, the proxy profile is being referenced by an HTTP user agent called Security Gateway User Agent. This is important. Keep this in your mind. This is going to come up later in the video. And then that is further referenced by an XML manager, which is further referenced by a web service proxy in DPAA and in the guts of DataPower. It's called a WS Gateway object. Now, show reference by gives us an impact analysis. What could be affected by the change we're about to make inside the appliance? So that's the importance of the show reference by. You can't do that in DataPower, can't do that in any other tool. So this is an important feature of DPAA as well. So what I'm seeing is I could negatively affect the WS gateway if this doesn't work, or maybe the new object is not created in the way I want it created. So, and we'll talk about those interesting features that are going to happen here. So I'm going to select both of these that are named exactly the same. It's just across two different appliances here. And I'm going to right mouse click, or again, I could use the hamburger menu, and I'm going to select Refactor Migrate Selected Proxy Profiles. So this is going to now give me a screen that I can use to set up the scenario where I can do the various things that I need to do. Now, DPAA is very smart here. DPAA can look up or knows the type of proxy profile I'm migrating and refactoring. In this particular case, it's a forward crypto profile, which means that DPAA knows I need a client profile to replace it. Now, by default, this feature, this migrate proxy profile feature, gives me a name for a new client profile that's going to be created. Now, this name is exactly the same name as the object name of the proxy profile I'm migrating. However, I probably don't want the name of my new proxy profile to be Security Gateway Credit Card Processing Proxy Profile. Probably don't want that in the name of this. Okay? If this were a reverse direction profile, then the name you see here would be in the server profile column. So it would be here because it would be a server profile that I'm trying to migrate the reverse proxies to. If it were two-way, then you would get names in both of these fields. In other words, DPA would go through the process of creating a new server profile and a new client profile by the names given, and it would refactor those references into the objects that are referencing the proxy profile. In this case, it's the HTTP user agent, if you'll recall. Now, with synchronized changes on, if I change the name of this, say to new client profile, so it's clear, new client profile, So this is clear, and I hit enter. Because synchronized changes is on, it knows that, hey, this is the same proxy profile, just in different appliances, and I want to change the name likewise. The new client profile I'm going to be using to replace this proxy profile needs to have the same name if I want to keep my appliances nice and synchronized. Now, if it were reverse, that would have happened in this column. I can't modify this column here because I'm doing a forward, and it doesn't make sense to create a new server profile in this particular instance. Now, what it's going to do when it builds this new client profile is it's going to take the configuration of the proxy profile and its referenced crypto profile and turn those properties into a new client profile. If I had delete proxy profiles after refactoring, what it's going to do is, after it's done with all the refactoring and replacing, after it's built the client and or server profile, and it's refactored that into the referenced objects for the old proxy profile, it will delete the proxy profile and its referenced crypto profile, if that's possible. In other words, it is entirely possible that the crypto profile could be referenced by other objects that are not also in the hierarchy of the references for the proxy profile. I know that sounds complicated, but if you think about it, you can have one crypto profile for all your proxy profiles, even though this proxy profile may not be referenced by every, all the objects equally. So it's going to attempt to delete those if you have this turned on. If you want to keep the old elements out there, it scares the heck out of you, which maybe it should, you can turn this off. If this were a two-way proxy profile, you would get options to create server and client profiles here. Just keep that in mind. Now, another option I have is, because this is a forward, I can also drop this down and select an existing client profile. Now, in the refactoring process of this, if you select an existing client profile, then DPAA is not going to touch the configuration of that existing profile. Now, what's important about the build out of a new client profile is there's an incompatibility between a proxy profile, cipher settings, and the various settings in a client profile or a server profile. For example, you don't have elliptic curves, you don't have signature algorithms in proxy profiles. You just have a cipher set string, which doesn't clearly always identify what cipher spec you need. So the only thing DPAA can reliably do is build out the client and or server profiles with the default ciphers, the default elliptic curves, and the default signature algorithms that if you were to go into DataPower and create a new client profile from scratch, it would give you those defaults. So if it's really important to you what ciphers and elliptic curves and signature algorithms you want in that new client profile, you might want to go about the process of manually creating that client profile and then using this drop down to select an existing one, like the new one you created for this purpose before, or server profile, whichever way you're going, before you go about this process. So now we're going to go about the process. So we're going to create a new client profile called new client profile. That's going to be built out from the combination of the proxy profile and its reference crypto profile. It's going to refactor the referencing objects to point to the new client profile instead of the proxy profile, and it's going to delete the proxy profile and its associated configurations. Now, when I click next, DPAA is going to show you this is what it's going to do. Now, sometimes this screen takes a while to create depending on how fast you're going through here. Because I was talking for so long, this actually happens in the background while the other screen is being processed too, and it gives you the ability, it builds this out for you. But sometimes this takes a while to build out, especially if you're doing a lot of appliances. I'm only doing 2. It could take a while to build out. You won't be able to click the finish button until all of the build out is complete by DPAA. Now, DPAA is going to show you that it's going to create a new client profile, a new SSL client profile called new client profile. It's going to create it. It's then going to refactor the reference from the security gateway user agent that points to the proxy profile now, but it's now going to make it point to this new client profile. It's then going to go delete the proxy profile and its associated crypto profile. And it's going to do that on both of the appliances. So you see all the steps it's going to take. Now, if you're looking at this and you're saying, no, I can't have that happen, then you need to go back and you need to change some options, or you need to go about it in a different way. Again, it cannot delete the crypto profile. It'll be able to delete the proxy profile because the refactoring replaces all references to the proxy profile. But if something else outside of that hierarchy is referencing the crypto profile, that crypto profile won't be deleted because it's referenced in DataPower, and there's no magic here. DPAA is not trying to sidestep the rules. So if that crypto profile continues to be referenced after the refactoring is done and it attempts to delete it, DataPower won't let us delete that. That's kind of a good news. So it's the last ditch safety feature that you don't have to worry so much about. So now that I see everything that's going to happen, I'm going to go select finish. And DPAA is now going to go through the steps that were just described here in refactoring and rebuilding this out. So you can see what it did is in this first appliance, what it does is it's built out the client profile called new client profile. It has refactored the reference into the security gateway. It has deleted the SSL, the old proxy profile, and it has successfully deleted the old crypto profile. And it's done that across both the appliances. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go select SSL client profile object, and then I'm going to list all the objects here now. And you can see I've got a new client profile here. That's why it's in green, because it's new. It built that out. And the proxy profile from which it came is no longer here. Now, this is another one that was named similarly, but it's not the proxy profile we started with. In fact, you can see that this one is now marked as deleted here. Okay? I also have a diskette over here that indicates that changes have been made in the domain. So I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. And this is going to go save those configurations. I'm going to clear my cache out. And then I'm going to search again, and we're going to see that my new client profile is saved, and the old client profile, the old proxy profile that was previously deleted, is now gone. Now what's important to us here is what is referencing this object. So I'm going to right mouse click and select show referenced by. Now I'm saving time. I could have done it on both appliances at once, but I'm just going to do it on the one here. If you want to see more than one appliance in this feature, you can go look at the tutorial on the referencing. It's displaying references. But here's my new client profile, which is referenced by Security Gateway User Agent, which is ultimately referenced by the web service proxy. So this did the refactoring exactly the way you think it should. It is now reconfigured with the proxy profile, with the new client profile that has replaced the old proxy profile. Now, you may have plenty of questions about this, and we're happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have about this. Just one thing to know, that dynamic references just aren't going to be solved for you. You kind of have to know how these objects are being referenced in your appliances, because if you have dynamic references, say you put references to proxy profiles in style sheet parameters, or in code, like in a variable in a code or in a database or whatever, however you go about doing it, there's no possible way. In an XML file, you may have an XML configuration file that references the one you use. There's no way DPAA is going to be able to figure that out for you. So you're going to have to know, how it's being referenced. But this is a big productivity enhancer. It can solve the configured references for you, and it can do a lot of the work for you. It may not can do all of the work for you, but it can do an awful lot of the complicated heavy lifting for you, and it can make sure that it's synchronized properly across different appliances and domains. So if you have any questions, concerns, or whatever, go out to www.kumbasoft.com. You can go look at the tutorials that are other than this one on the website about refactoring and replacing and renaming and various other things, the password migration facility. You can look at all of that there. This is a temporary feature by design to DPAA. After a number of firmwares into the future, when we're confident no one else is using the old firmwares where this may apply, we'll probably take the feature out. But for right now, it's going to be in there for quite some time. You don't have to worry about it going away if you're still running on older firmwares. And keep us informed if you're going to keep doing that. If you're still running on the 10, anything it's still in 10.5, but you might have to remove it in a future firmware. We're not sure what it is. So if you're in one of the firmwares prior to that, go ahead and keep us informed by going to the Contact Us page here at Kumbasoft.com. If you have any questions, you want to see another demo, you want to ask a lot of questions, go out there, schedule a demo, and we'll be glad to talk to you. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.